So if we do see Space Station start spreading out across the field, that will be their main target as they look to try and take themselves into the winners of finals. Whoever loses this, obviously not out just yet. They've got the lower half of the bracket, which will be played later on today. Very difficult matches down there, but at the same time, Johnny, we've got both of our our qualified teams making it this far into the tournament. We've dropped 2 RLCS teams in the meantime.
Yeah, Omelette are really the team in the dream run right now. Plot Twist are waiting in the lower bracket for the loser of Omelette versus Envy. That's going to be an interesting series, regardless of who goes down. Envy haven't looked unbeatable by any stretch of the imagination. But Omelette versus Plot Twist, you'd have to go with Omelette at the moment, the more informed team. Plot Twist have had some pretty high highs when Sosa's popping off, but when he doesn't, they don't look too extraordinary. But yeah, NRG and Space Station here, like you mentioned, loser not out. They will play against Rogue in the lower bracket. That's not a matchup that I think people are going to be looking forward to, though. Because Rogue have looked pretty scary. Or have they? Because yeah, they beat G2, but so did Omelette. So maybe Rogue are not as scary as we think they are. But personally, based on the play that I've seen from them, they don't look like a team that you want to go up against in a lower bracket.
Well, it looks like we've got everybody on the field. We are good to get into this. Our first of 2 upper bracket semifinals. NRG against Space Station Gaming, a run back that we have seen so many times since the end of regionals and many times throughout the entirety of the off-season. Who's going to get it this time around as we are into game number 1?
So you're looking for those physical plays from Arsenal. We're looking for Zipical to try and pop off as well. The more people he can take out of the game, the better. That's really what he does best on the Space Station roster. But outside of those 2 players, we need a really solid third man role from AXP. He was shooting brilliantly yesterday. Some absolute pile driver top shelf shots. So Space Station have to play this one perfectly. You feel like NRG can win without even playing their best.
I do want to see Space Station trying to set the pace a little bit more compared to what we got from them yesterday. Here is Garrett in field. Too much on it, though. To be a lot more lateral if there was going to be any chance for Squishy to take over. That was something that NRG were nailing on time after time when called upon it. Well, I'm happy to commit all 3 players for those. Garrett will just test Typical's defensive capabilities, as we already know that the Season 8 North American MVP more than capable in those positions. Arsenal not going to get the reset. Instead, realizes that ball was not climbing anywhere near enough, and this might go on target. Typical collects. Both teams playing at a lot better pace. This is already quicker from Space Station, but we're going to see when they're willing to commit that second. That is the biggest tell for me.
Yeah, this is the kind of game that NRG wants to be playing, so NRG fans are going to be quite happy to see that early on. We're seeing a lot of possession for both teams. NRG tend to do more with the ball than Space Station do. That's a great first touch by Justin. Next save though by AXB, blocked the double touch.
There's only so many times you can keep seeing this. AXB and Arsenal clatter into each other. That was a huge chance for a breakaway. They cannot take, and they are stuck right back on the defense. Arsenal clear long. They want to be seeing this again from Space Station. They kept handing the ball away to an awaiting defense against Team Envy. They've already started doing it again here in game 1. Justin to the corner. Oh, for Garrett. He doesn't have a passing option, so he's going to have to take it all by himself. And go by himself he will. Almost took out Arsenal. Garrett running rough shot in the corner, and NRG locking down very well here. And they've got the reward for it. Just kept on pressing, and eventually the defensive wall broke.
Yeah, I'm not sure why Typical decided to leave the goal area here. Arsenal and AXB were both already committed to the play in the corner. Typical just drove out, joined them, and then left. He didn't even go back to the goal. So very strange play defensively by Space Station Gaming. You can sometimes, get a false sense of security there, though, when the ball is in the corner and 2 of your teammates are there pressuring it. You think, well, there's no way that their shot is going to come in past both of them, and then it does, and you wish you stayed in goal.
This is the best possible start for NRG so far. Have not really been tested on the defensive side of the field. Neither will it be right now. Justin looks to set up Garrett. Good save from Typical. Shut down the angle as quickly as he possibly could. No chance for the ball to go in. Garrett, though, and the rest of NRG. This is Just absolutely brutal. They're gonna get another one. Oh, Squishy, mate! You're gonna have a bit of a word about this. What on earth is he doing?
Oh, you gotta imagine that Squishy is either going for the goal steal or he's just assumed that there was a goalkeeper there and he tried to take it past him, but what was he thinking? That was easily the worst play of the entire weekend, including everything we've seen from Jazzo in the wheel and deal. That was an unbelievably bad play. A really difficult save, actually.
Oh, wow. I mean, kudos for playing it as well as he did. But, yeah, not quite what they needed, and they've still only got the 1-goal lead as we try and fix Johnny, who is, well, this is like the 4th giggle fit we have had in the last 24 hours of this broadcast. It is infectious.
Can't believe it. I just cannot believe what I've seen.
I don't think Justin or Garrett can either.
It was a really difficult save. The fact that he managed to save that and also put it in a position that was not possible for himself to then follow up and score, or either of his teammates to follow up and score. Because that wasn't just a wide open net, it was a wide open net with no Space Station giving players anywhere near it. I honestly can't just believe what we just saw. I'm kind of disappointed there was no goal immediately afterwards, so we can see it again on the replay. But yeah, I'm looking forward to seeing Squishy's POV on that one later on.
Space Station, it does give them an opportunity to stay in this. Over to AXB, shots on target. Squishy will at least redeem his name a little bit.
I think he's got a lot more work to do before
yeah, that's, what are we putting on this? At least 2 goals so we can go positive with it?
I mean,
he's got an assist one for Justin at least.
If NRG get a late, if they concede late on here, that is going to be a crushing blow for Squishy. But so
I'll be joining you on the
good.
Google fit if that happens.
They're looking pretty good though. They have defended well. They haven't been too shaken out by that save. Oh, hold on a second. Okay, it's gonna bounce down surely. And game 1 does go to NRG. Absolutely hilarious play there to keep the game interesting. Maybe it just said 1-0 in the script, and Squishy was trying to keep it on track.
I mean, congratulations to Squishy on 0 shots, and there's a bit of a typo there. 2 saves on the field. My goodness.
You should really lose points in your score if you save your teammate's shot like that. That should be how many points do you get for a goal? 100. So you should really have negative 100 there. Do you know
what they've been doing? I don't know what Scissor's got them doing for like pre-series exercises. I think he's been playing those 1v1v1s, whatever, like all 4 possibly. Of them. So he's just not used to allowing those shots to go in. But
he's traumatized, man. He's played against Garrett and Justin so often and didn't have a good record against Garrett and Justin when he played with Torment and Gimmick. So he sees Justin shoot and he thinks, I've got to stop that. It's happening again. He's always scoring onto me. And he just had a flashback to all of those losses in the past.
So, as well, bring it back onto the topic of the series, though. For Space Station Gaming, a complete lack of goal-scoring opportunities. They got 1 shot that was right down the middle of the infield pass. Outside of that, just bare. Nothing.
Yeah, Squishy was their best player.
Oh, dearie me.
I'm going to stop, but I can't actually stop.
I thought we'd escaped after the wheel and deal.
When I think back to this game, I don't remember anything except that save. It was such a huge moment. Honestly, tournament-defining moment.
If we play any more of it, we all know that Squishy is Mafia.
Yeah, Squishy. Actually, yeah. That's what it is.
Game number 2 now underway. NRG looking to maintain the momentum that they got and then lost and then got again. Is over to Squishy. Does have the opportunity to lay it off. It's already up. Justin follows. It's going to be an awkward spot. Justin continues to play the ball over. We've seen this on a few occasions now from Space Station where they just keep committing players to where they cannot actually follow up. Almost got a goal. Justin off the backboard one more time. Goes to Garrett. Looks to lay it off to a Squishy who is going to be coming in slightly late over the top. And it is pushed to the corner. But it seems like Space Station have just got weird positioning on their off-ball players that they cannot react at all quickly.
Space Station, they look a bit sluggish, and you can't go into a series against NRG looking sluggish and expect to get much out of it. This is a 2v1. Squishy and Justin, good save by Sipical on the retreat. But it's NRG's, this is their play style they want to play. They want a stretched out game where everybody's got lots of space to work with, lots of boost to work with, Space Station need to force more 50-50s. They need to try and clog up this lobby, you know, try and make it as dirty as possible, because they tend to thrive in that kind of chaotic playstyle where rotations are being broken left, right, and center.
Oh, that backboard! Unsafe by AXB. Arsenal will come and help him out now. Pass over to Sipical in the midfield, unchallenged. He can try and pop the ball up. Off the backboard, clattered into by Garrett. That ended up being very key. We know how capable Sipical is when it comes to his mechanical plays. 2 minutes into this. Space Station having better territory this time around. Still looking for their big opportunity. Is it going to come from Sipical? Bounces down off the ceiling. These negative angle clears from NRG, so good, and we're getting so much power on them each time that they can just leave someone in the midfield, and if it comes over to them, they end up being completely safe.
Oh, Squishy just still somewhat trolling as he bumps Garrett into this app. I think he's just not woken up yet today. He needs to slam a monster. But oh, that's a good save. There we go. Must have chugged one real quick between the last play and that one. Scoreless game 2. NRG still look to be the favorites.
Well, good news for Squishy is that our fine friends over at Psyonix did include a colorblind mode. So if he does need some help, that is right in the settings. Arsenal off the backboard. Justin's Space Station. I mean, Justin just keeps looking at Space Station each time that ball goes off the backboard. No one is ever around to put him under any pressure. Can't be giving him that sort of space, because he will just air dribble it out, whatever he wants to do. Either way, you're not going to keep that ball where you want it if you want to try and score a goal. Minute and 45 seconds here. Squishy over the top, over to Garrett. What a save. But an even better setup play over to the top corner. That is off the crossbar. No follow-up for the longest time. And Space Station will survive the onslaught.
Space Station are panicking. They do continue to just hit the ball softly away from their half. Just assuming that there's going to be a shot coming in quickly from NRG. That's a good follow-on by AXB. A couple of good air dribbling, or air dribbles from both teams, actually. Crazy pre-jump by Garrett, and he goes for the bump again. Garrett has been looking for quite a few of those. Space Station haven't been caught out just yet. Still, scoreless game 2. This is a really, really tense scoreless tie, though, as Garrett hits the bar. He had Justin flying in front of him for misdirection. Justin's just thrown in there, though. This could be a counter-attack opportunity for Space Station.
Arsenal will try and take the shot. It's off the post. Follow-up from Sipical. Space Station finally have got themselves a goal. Same as yesterday, it has taken way too long to find it, but what a transition it was. No chance for the keeper.
Yeah, really good knock on there by Arsenal. Got to go back to that lunge in by Justin, though. He, you know, kind of left no one back when he went in for this play. Yes, Garrett and Squishy were able to retreat and be ready on the goal line for the shot that was coming in, but you would rather have somebody attacking that ball before Arsenal can make that redirect. Because once he's hit the post from that range, you don't know as a goalkeeper if it's in or not. You just have to go for it and hope for the best.
Squishy and the rest of NRG only got a couple more moments to pull this one back. Garrett will dive in for the challenge. AXB gets a good angle instead. Doesn't even matter at all. Arsenal adding a little bit more oomph on the ball. Back in. Squishy decides to go for net. Sipical had it covered, but NRG starting to lock down. We saw them being very good over here previously. Garrett almost made contact. It will not be enough, though. Space Station Gaming made to grind for it. But they have got their first win, and they have got their first goal.
Well, you see maybe another weakness, potentially, from NRG there. They had a lot of chances to score, and they weren't getting any goals. They probably felt like the team that should be winning as we got into the final minute here, and they just pressed a bit too hard for it. The dive-in challenge by Justin, to me, that's the moment where this game swung in Space Station's favor. He left. He had the whole team on the retreat. Then nobody able to intercept that pass from Sipical to Arsenal, which turned out to be the pass that won the game. Great knock on by Arsenal into the post as well. But you know, overall, NRG still look like they are getting the sort of game that they want in this series. They're going to be looking to just do more of the same here without taking that unnecessary risk for with their third man lunging in for essentially a 50-50.
Yeah, it has been something that Space Station have struggled with so far, is beating that third man. But if Justin, whose job that was supposed to be, is just going to remove himself, then suddenly that issue is no longer a factor. Move ourselves into game 3. Over to Neo Tokyo. Whoever wins this, moving on to match point. Might be getting something immediate off from Justin, off the post. This post has been brutalized so far. And Justin's second shot, a little better.
Look at the wave dash pass by Garrett. That was sick. And the placement by Justin was also brilliant. He moved very far over to the right preemptively, reading that post bounce. Great play by the NRG long-time duo here. You know, I want to wait and see what kind of third man we get from Justin in this game. It's not a problem to lunge in as a third man in the current meta game for 3v3, but you got to do it when there is a clear-cut chance.
Well, last one sort of screamed frustration to me. Won't need that anymore. They have got the lead. Here's now AXB and the rest of Space Station that have got to try and put something together, and it is not been something that they've done all too well over the last 24 hours. Justin to try and make it 2, and he has done so.
Very nicely done by Justin again, and credit to Squishy for this pass. He managed to land on Sypical as well after flopping the ball forward. It's also worth mentioning Garrett had a really good rotation back there. He got taken out of the game by a little air dribble, and instead of going all the way around the pitch to the back post side, he just immediately turned around and went for the demo on the player who just slowly went by him.
Space Station very rarely scoring more than 1 goal in their games previously. Now have to try and find 3. XP to Sypical. It's a very slow ball, but almost made to work. Sypical takes out 2 players, but he needed his teammate to be a little quicker. Justin wins the race, and now the ball was handed over to Squishy by Arsenal. Very careless. Got to stay very aware here. That third goal could end it, no matter how early it is. Do not expect to see NRG dropping 4 goals in a game.
They are playing extremely quickly, and that's making Space Station's game even harder than it already was going into this. We haven't seen Space Station really peak in terms of what we've seen from them in the past in this tournament. Struggling to play at their best, and NRG are just getting better and better. We have, you know, obviously got a couple of misplays from Squishy early on in this series, but apart from that, they have been very organized. That's a nice save as well by Justin. Good shot stopping, but it's right back in the middle, and nobody's there. It's AXB once again with the finishing blow.
Yeah, Justin was the only one backing Garrett. Rather than hooking back into the net to help out, wanted to win the race for the ball. Just nowhere near it. That lead cut in half. There's a player that you saw the air dribble who is going to have to be the big difference maker here. Sypical is one of those players that can just tear a match in 2. And they're going to need him to do it, because so far his team has lacked creativity. He, though, definitely can be the provider of that.
Yeah, Sypical is good enough to dominate even a lobby like this. He can dominate any lobby if he is playing at his best. We've seen him do it in the past, and we've even seen him do it in this tournament. Playing a great Game 5 against Rogue before eventually losing in overtime. NRG need to be careful here. This is the sort of position they got caught out in the last game. Everybody on the back foot. Good bump by Squishy as he leaves the half. Space Station were unable to get that pass down the line this time. Everybody was stuck behind the ball. Sometimes, like right now, Sypical will just land downfield though, and that's the opportunity that they're looking for. Just try and spot the man who happens to be at the halfway line for whatever reason.
You've got to look. Oh my goodness, what? That was way too much time for Garrett to start moving in. Squishy is also around if Justin wants him. Instead, chooses to take the block, and he's done very well with it. The ceiling over to Garrett off the backboard, and Justin is already into these final 30. Will not be able to follow up. This does mean a breakaway opportunity. Space Station only got Justin left. They have used a couple of players, and Sypical so far forward ended up turning, so he can't react. Well created by Space Station. Like the final third, and there was another opportunity. Arsenal laid it up. Just didn't have the final touch. But Spacestation putting everything into this now. Starting to press down. Long clear, and that's the sort of clears that have been leading towards the end of their offense previously. This time around, it's going to create for them. Into the midfield, Keeper is out. 2 each. And this has been a phenomenal turnaround from Spacestation.
Brilliant play by Arsenal. First, the pass to AXB, then the demo on the goalkeeper, opening up the net for Sipical. That is the kind of Spacestation offense that we've been missing this tournament. And they bring it back when they need to most. NRG look a bit shaken, leaving their nets open here a fair few times in this game. And they've got to just calm down and look for this clutch play. There's Justin over 2. He's been bumped out of the air though. And Arsenal slows down the play, draws Squishy in. NRG need to be careful. Spacestation look dangerous.
Especially the game now all tied up. Justin managed to get the ball free, and it is over to Squishy off the ceiling. That's a heavy first touch from Squishy. He will not be able to shoot first time, instead looks to set. Garrett spots it. Not before Arsenal does. 30 seconds on the clock before we go to overtime. Off the backboard. Sipical recognizes he's got space, but didn't have too much of it. NRG doing a good job locking down this midfield. They've got to make it count. We'll bounce over to Squishy. Again, looks for the double tap, and he's got it!
Beautiful. Beautiful shot by Squishy. He was just fastest to the ball, and there's a brilliant bump by Justin as well. Getting some revenge on Spacestation. We got a demo goal for number 2. Now Justin cleans out the net, and you're always going to put your money on Squishy from that range.
They've managed to make a 2-goal comeback. They've now only got this to make it happen one more time. Arsenal pops the ball up. He needs to follow. Has got Sipical, who will not be able to play that. Him and XP both go. Arsenal forced to do even more work. Sipical just over the top. Garrett G in full possession. Ends up dropping it. Sipical.
Oh, wow.
This is going to be first time for Arsenal. Squishy right in front of the play. The Spacestation Gaming unrelenting. Finally, NRG finished the game.
Very tense game here. NRG, they look very calm and very organized in defense in games 1 and 2, but Spacestation really started putting the pressure on them in this one. And I think that's a sign of things to come as well. NRG have got to calm down in defense. We've seen a few moments where they all just run into the corner at the same time and leave their net wide open. It was punished once and saved once by a late scramble back. But you don't want to have to make those late scrambles back. You just want to cover your goal on every single Spacestation play. But it's easier said than done. If you've got a goalkeeper against Spacestation, you already know that somebody's going to be charging at you trying to get that demo. So you're looking to hide inside the goal somewhere, be difficult to hit. Something I know Justin is very good at. But it's so hard to do that under pressure. You're keeping your eye on the ball, and you've also got to keep an eye on a player who's coming in from your blind spot. It's a very, very difficult thing to do.
And it is something that is the leading reason is for the goals that we have been seeing so far. Mostly due to the fact of, hey, we're not getting many outplays, really. A lot of them has been, someone tries to play the ball downfield, they open up a little bit of space, but more importantly, they are finding those bumps, they are finding the demos. That is the leading reason as to why we've got goals thus far. So for the third man, life is already difficult. It's getting made even more so by the fact that they are just target number 1, most wanted, and they are being hunted down.
Yeah, this is really the big test now. NRG, I call them a favorite to win this event. I still think they are. They look like they've got what it takes to beat everybody else in North America at the moment. But I want to see more defense from Squishy and more offense from Justin. They look the best when they just let Justin break rotation at every possible opportunity. Whenever they can. Just let Justin turn again and get into attack. Justin's a great shot stopper. He's a brilliant goalkeeper, but he's also the best player in NRG at taking the ball past several opponents and leaving the net wide open for great finishers like Garrett and Squishy.
Well, especially when you look at the players that Justin has played with prior to Squishy. We've got Fireburner and we've got Turbo, 2 players that are notoriously well known for their ability to hold rotation. So Justin could break whenever he wanted to there. That's the reason why his safe stats were always so high, because he didn't hold the midfield. He didn't really have that. Instead, he would allow Fireburner and Turbo to sort of buy that a bit of time, and then he'd be back to get the save as and when required. But with this current rotation, he's been forced into midfield slightly more. Obviously, with mixed results. We did get the slightly early challenge that led to them losing game number 2. So it's a bit of a balancing act for NRG as they figure out this new roster.
Yeah, they definitely have some figuring out to do, mostly in defense. Their offense looks brilliant. They obviously were just bound to have a good attacking style with 3 players who want to play the same kind of way in offense. I know that even before they were teammates, Squishy, Justin, and Garrett loved playing together. They did play a lot of Rocket League together in the past, even though they were rivals in North America for the longest time. So that comes easily, the offense, and it often does with high-level Rocket League players. It comes quite naturally to them. It's when they're under pressure, when they're in defense for extended periods of time, that I think they've looked more tested, and definitely against a team like Spacestation, as you can see. NRG don't want to be playing a passive defense. They're trying to stay active, keep moving, become harder targets for the demos. But when you do that, it's a lot harder to stay organized and to have all of the angles covered. Whereas you compare that to yesterday, where they were just kind of sitting still and waiting for the ball to come to them, and that looked like they looked completely unbreakable at times, covering the back wall very well. But yeah, Space Station are not an easy team to defend against, and it's something I'm very interested to see more of from NRG here.
Absolutely. So we are just trying to get ourselves a new server at the moment. Once we have got all of the players good and ready to go, we'll be moving into game number 4. NRG still in the lead by 2-1, and if they do win the next, they move into the upper bracket finals, where they'll be playing against the next series, which is Team Envy versus Omelette. Now, we've been speaking an awful lot, Johnny, about the ever-improving talent pool over from North America. Omelette, are they leading the charge for you on that, or is there a couple of other names coming up?
Well, this tournament, certainly Omelette are the team who are really playing some great Rocket League, looking very impressive while doing it. So I'm looking forward to seeing them in the next series versus Envy. I think that's a series that they can absolutely win. Envy, they are very hard to score on at times, but they lack I'd say, the offensive threats that we've seen from some of the other top teams in this tournament. So it's going to be interesting to see how those two teams stack up against each other. Remember that Omelette have a chance in that series. If they beat Envy, then they're top 3 here in this incredibly stacked Summer Shuffle event.
I think already guaranteed one of our qualifier teams is going to make top 4, because whoever loses that will take on Plot Twist in the lower bracket, which is phenomenal in terms of... I mean, I'm just remembering the fact that early days, especially for Rocket League, North America was very top-heavy when it came to their talent pool, and it has only been over the last year or so, very much kicking off with the Peeps winning DreamHack, that we've started to see North America branch out quite significantly with their diversity of players. And it's been very interesting to see what they've managed to produce. I think this tournament is sort of a crowning achievement of that.
Yeah, they're always were, well, maybe not always, but I'd say since maybe RLCS, just after RLCS Season 4, the best teams in North America were pretty much at the same level as the best teams in Europe, but Europe had a lot more teams in that best teams category. There were lots and lots of teams who on their day could just take down a whole tournament, make a deep run and beat everybody. And NA only had the big 3, and it was the big 3 until teams like Spacestation Gaming came along and really just...
It's incredible. It's incredible how that was almost a meme, but it was completely true at the same time. You couldn't escape the fact, could you? You know, everyone says, oh, they're just talking about the big 3. It's because those are the only 3 that would win anything. And suddenly the Peeps come along and everything's all very different.
Yeah, we saw, it was Pittsburgh Knights and Space Station Gaming and E United all making LAN in Season 9. That was a huge surprise. Seeing only NRG from the old guard as Cloud9 at the time and G2 both struggled. G2 came back from that, and sorry, Season 8 is the season I was referring to previously. But yeah, G2 obviously came back and they became the best team in North America for a while. Now they've somewhat fallen off again. and left the door open for teams like Omelette to come in and take all of the praise. But we're almost ready here. We're going to get started with game number 4 momentarily, guys. Apologies for the small delay here, but all the players are now back into the lobby. We'll get this one kicked off in a moment. It's best of 5, so double match point for NRG. Winner of this guarantees top 3 in the Summer Shuffle main event, and the loser will drop down to the lower bracket to play against Rogue later today.
Yeah, very interesting to see how they would respond from there, but NRG, the team, looking like the stronger of the two, at least coming into this. For Spacestation Gaming, on the other hand, we really want to see them continue to put the best foot forward. I think Sipical has had a lot of very solid moments, especially when he has given time on the ball from the defensive side of the field to start air dribbling out. That is where his team have caused the most hassles, but we no longer have to try and talk about what is and what is not going to happen here. We can see it for ourselves. Game 4, we have finally got it underway. Let's get into it. NRG take this, they move on to top 3.
Certainly today, NRG have looked like the best team. That's a brilliant pre-jump save by Justin. Great read, good coverage of the goal. But it is worth mentioning, they didn't need to have a ridiculous pre-jump save there from Justin. If somebody had just stayed in the goal in the first place, then the shot would have been closed down and it would have ended up being a 50-50. Oh, that's a total miss. And it's in for Garachi. Huge miscommunication in defense for Space Station.
They both back down. Well, I don't know about the XP. The other defender definitely backed down.
I think Sipical was called off it. He looked like he saw AXP going and he thought, okay, AXP's got that. Then AXP misses, and Sipical had already pulled out of the aerial. That is not what you want to see from them.
Well, good news, Squishy. You've no longer got the most effective plays so far. At least his didn't affect the scoreline.
Was still significantly worse from
objectively, it didn't hit the scoreline negatively, though. His team was still winning.
Maybe not the most impactful misplay, but when you look at the position,
as Brits, we can definitely give one extra points for banter.
Oh yeah, top quality play for sure. Oh, Sipical! Speaking of top quality plays, there does to squeeze one through. This is a well-defended net, but Sipical with the flip reset and the double touch gets it by them.
Spicy from Sipical. Wow. Not really too much you can do there. You got to look at the quality of defenders against him. He still managed to turn in that. Squishy, almost insulted by the idea that someone could hit double taps against him. Tried to go for one of his own, but we were talking in the previous game, Johnny, about how Sipical is a one-man army when he is playing at top form. He is surrounded by incredibly talented players, but he's just on another level when he's feeling it.
Oh, absolutely. That's another miss in defense from Space Station. They're inviting a lot of pressure onto them. Arsenal will run it clear. Good fake challenge on the wall by Justin. That forced Arsenal's hand without taking himself out of the game, and more good defense by Justin again. Really contorting his car perfectly to get to the ball in a position where he didn't have a lot of boost to work with. Oh, Squishy's waited upfield, looking for the bump, but just took a bit too long to go for it. Arsenal was able to go up and clear the ball.
I think he was on 0 boost, so never quite had the pace to go for it. Either way, NRG spreading out across the field much better than Space Station are right now. Squishy first touch was allow Sipical to move in. As always, there's no one on that left side for Sipical to aim for or work with. His only real choice is to go for net and look for a challenge, or maybe take it all the way in. If you're NRG, you can spot that very easily, and you can start adding extra numbers to where they're required to be. Arsenal will launch into the midfield. XB looking for the backboard, and Justin's fully aware of that.
Yeah, not a good landing there by AXB either. He was all in on that play. Nothing about the recovery. Good thing he's back here though, because that would have been open. Bump off the back wall for NRG, left the net undefended just for a moment, and their attack is going to continue here. Squishy broke rotation very effectively, caught Space Station out of position. That finishing touch was just nowhere to be seen. Now Squishy's got the rebound, and there's nobody there to stop him. Perfect boost management as he puts in another double.
Earlier on in the finishing touch was not to be seen. This time around, not a single defender to be seen. Squishy almost taunting with how close that shot ended up being to the final defender, who was trying to scramble just for a chance. Space Station Gaming, not for the first time, thinking that they have escaped far too early. They start putting players over boosts that they just don't have time to go for. They're still stuck in their side of the field. And they've resumed it as we get into the next passage of play. Is it going to be another one up? It should have been.
Open net miss. So, similarly to game one, at the moment, it's not a costly misplay because NRG still lead by 1 goal. And they look to be quite dominant in this game, having their way with Space Station Gaming. The Space Station have had a few late comebacks. Here's typical. This time goes over the top of the final challenge instead of going for that flip reset that we're used to seeing him play in these positions. Still time left for Space Station, but they don't have that much time. I don't feel like they're going to get all that many chances against NRG playing at this pace.
If they're going to do it, they need to hold their third man into better positions. AXB just launched forward with absolutely no chance of winning it. That's what's got them trapped in their own side of the field. Lost them very precious moments off the clock. Arsenal waits. Drops the ball to Sipical off the backboard. Rare occasion where NRG don't have anyone waiting around. XB is going to lose the challenge. You're going to see Justin waiting on the wall. It's another opportunity been and gone for Space Station where they failed to create.
Sipical looking for the ground play on this attack, but he's denied again. Space Station are very linear with their offense as usual. NRG see most of these plays coming. Good block though by Sipical. Will he be able to catch up this? Doesn't have to. Arsenal's going to do it for him. Big dunks coming out from SSG. Arsenal misses his center ball though. NRG go another few seconds without having to defend a shot.
And it's going to be to win it. Garrett G on the counter attack. Uses Justin, the old school duo coming together, and they have punished Space Station Gaming for being so wasteful with their possession.
Clinical. Very clinical by Justin and Garrett once again, and that's why you want Justin to be the playmaker for this team. He's very hard to read and incredibly fast. That's just wide open for him. 4-1, NRG confirmed the win, and it's just not good enough from Space Station Gaming overall today. They were thoroughly outplayed if you look at the series as a whole. Could have been, I think, could have been less close had NRG taken all their chances and ironed out those defensive misplays. Space Station need to go back to the drawing board. They're down to the lower bracket to play against Rogue later on today. That's a team they struggled with in the group stage, so an interesting matchup for sure.
Coach Chrome has got his work cut out for him. This is the Space Station team that is not looking as crisp as we are used to seeing them. They're going to drop down for NRG, continue to look solid with their new team member. They've already managed a tournament win. They've already managed a second place. They look to continue to add to those phenomenal placements as they move into our top 3. And Johnny, yesterday when Space Station were taking on Team Envy, I sort of tried to put the idea forward that maybe it's because they're taking on Team Envy. Maybe they are playing almost the same style as Team Envy. That sort of falls down entirely when they take on a much more open and creative team like NRG and still look like they're playing the same style.
Yeah, they're just a bit predictable when they attack. You know, sometimes they can brute force it anyway with demos and 50-50s going their way. But NRG certainly saw most of those attacking plays coming. And the scary thing about NRG is they've just won that series while making a lot of, you know, pretty big mistakes. Open net misses, saving teammate shots, just team bumping. These are things that are extremely easy, mistakes that are very, very easy to spot, and thus improvements that are very easy to make as well. NRG could improve on this, and they could do it without making big changes to the way they're playing the game. Just got to maybe communicate more effectively and quickly so that the players know what's happening and what to do in these tense moments.
Well, that is the last we're going to see of NRG today. They are going to be back on tomorrow to play their upper finals. We'll be seeing Space Station again later on when they take on Rogue. But when we come back, Omelette look to continue their Cinderella story. Can they do it? We're going to see out in 5 minutes.